through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What's popping, people? What is popping? It's G, and we're back in the building. Guys, please make sure you're smashing that like button. Please make sure you do share and subscribe to the channel. GTV, we are very, very close to that 1,000 subscriber. You guys, you know, I'm back with a bit of a new styly for my Scout watchers. If you guys already know, if you follow me on TikTok, my TikTok will soon be getting deactivated. I've decided to just focus solely on YouTube, you know, really make the YouTube work and stuff like that. So I'll probably end up just deactivating the TikTok in a general sense, but in the meantime, it is of course still up there, and you guys can obviously head on over there. I'll keep it up there for maybe another few days, maybe think on it potentially, but you'll see I've done, you know, previous Scout watches, you know, little short, you know, little 5 to 10 minute little videos, and I decided, you know what, let's bring it to YouTube. Let's, you know, bring it to YouTube and see what it's all about. Let's see what it's all about. Just a quick 15, let's see how long this is kind of video where we just take a look at young under 21 players all around the world. They could be players who, you know, quite a lot of us will know. And today, you know, we're here to talk, as you guys can see, and what's that, the bottom right of your screen, Adam Wharton, currently playing for Crystal Palace. But we're going to be talking about so many different players, from Brazil to Paraguay to Ecuador, you know, China, all of these countries, all of these players. There is so many players who are out there. And I just said, you know what, let's have just a little look at it, you know, just a little look at it, see what these guys are about. And, you know, we can take it from there. But as I mentioned, today's episode, volume 2 of the Scout Watches, is we're taking a look at Adam Wharton. Used to play for Blackburn Rovers, has obviously signed now for Crystal Palace, signed for them in the January transfer window. I think it was for around initial fee of about £18 million, which could potentially rise to 22 million. Quite a lot of money, and yeah, I mean, this is a lot of money for Crystal Palace, if I'm being 100% honest with you. You know, this isn't a team who usually will go out there and spend quite a lot of money on any player, let alone a player who is very, very young, you know, very, very early into, you know, his actual career. But what position does he play? What does he kind of, you know, what does he kind of do? He is a central midfielder. Box to box, I would say, probably best suits him. You guys can obviously see there, top right, you can see he's played in central midfield, DM, attacking midfield. So he's played in those central areas of the pitch. But I would say box to box midfield 8, you know, kind of thing would probably best suit someone like Adam. But again, it just really depends on how Crystal Palace kind of want to use him. If we take a little look here, if I just quickly share my screen, just a little, would I say, description of his style of play, so you guys can kind of get to know, you know, what kind of a player he is. So yeah, here, Adam was a box-to-box player who has the stamina and work rate to be equally as effective on both ends of the pitch. On the ball, he has fantastic technical ability and is more than capable using both feet with no reduction in quality. His aggressive nature and strong desire to win the ball, and his lovely technical ability when breaking the lines with either his passing or strong ball carrying solo runs, are all very similar to a young Jack Wilshere when he was breaking through and rising at Arsenal before the injuries. They both display such confidence despite their age to take on any battle and challenge, and want to be the orchestrator for attacks whilst also defending well when needed. Wharton tends to stay fairly central, defending in the middle of the pitch and half spaces, but does not tend to drift out wide and defend the flank. So again, decent little player. You can see there they've kind of likened him, you know, to a bit like a Jack Wilshere. We all remember what Jack Wilshere was like. We all remember the type of individual he was. You know, very, very good player coming through the Arsenal, you know, youth ranks, as it mentions there about the injuries to someone like Jack. It obviously it's peak, of course, because I felt like he he was going to be England's next big hope, if I'm being totally honest with you. You know, there was a lot pinned on Jack Wilshere, especially when he was coming through and then playing, you know, really, really young and early for England. You know, there was this kind of hope that have we found, you know, we saw him in the game Arsenal versus Barcelona in the Champions League. We saw what type of a player he was. You know, that was the energy that was being given for someone like Jack Wilshere, you know, coming up against the Javis, the Iniestas, you know, the Busquets, you know, top best players in our generation in those kind of positions. And he was having good games against them. Now, I know they've likened him, but let's not get it twisted. As we always do, as if you've heard all my previous videos in regards to these player watches, you know, we don't like to do these. I don't mind the comparisons that of course that they've given, you know, for Adam, but I don't like to go too deep into those type of comparisons because they're two different players ultimately, because they are two different human beings, you know. And if we take a look here as heat map. So this is heat map. Obviously, of course, he's only just moved, you know, to Crystal Palace in January. But obviously, this is going to be his heat map for Blackburn Rovers, who, of course, he signed from. He actually made his debut back in 2022. So again, we just started 2024. He hasn't been playing men's senior football for that long, you know. But again, Crystal Palace felt that they, you know, paying £18 million, potentially rising, you know, that might be a good deal for them. Again, we'll of course have to wait and see. But we can see here, as it mentioned before, about him being a box-to-box midfielder. Again, someone with that energy, you know, someone who's willing to get himself forward and, of course, help out in the defensive phases. You can see by the heat map, he is absolutely everywhere. And I think that is key for any player, to be honest with you, especially when you're playing in those midfield positions. That's going to be one of your biggest things, to be honest with you. That's going to be something that you're definitely going to need to make sure that you have on point, and you definitely need to make sure that that's something, if you're going to be playing in those central midfield areas, have you got the energy? He's shown that he has got the energy. He's shown that he has got the enthusiasm. Let's take a look at his stats just from this season alone. Again, like I mentioned, most of these are going to be for, well, all of them are going to be from this season in the championship. If we just zoom in a little bit there for you guys, if you can see it. Yeah, I'll zoom in a bit more actually. So, yeah, you can see here, played 30 games in total. Of course, one of those being in the Premier League. So 29 games for Blackburn Rovers this season. He has got himself 2 goals and 3 assists, and he has got himself 5 yellow cards. And if you can see here in the positions that he's, of course, played this season, you can see defensive midfield has been the main position that he has occupied for Blackburn Rovers. 18 times he's played in that defensive midfield position, 3 assists in that position. When he's played central midfield 5 times, he has actually got himself 2 goals. He's played left midfield and attacking midfield as well. So he has got a little bit of versatility about him. You know, I definitely will say that. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that, you know, he's going to be a player who I think would do better in that kind of, would I say that he's obviously played left midfield, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he would do better in that position. But he's shown he's got enough versatility to be able to play in said position. So again, it's just about how he's going to fit into a Crystal Palace team. Now, when we look at Crystal Palace's team that they had up against Brighton, where he actually came on as a substitute for Mark Guéhi, if you just take a quick look there, we just put that up. We look at how, you know, Crystal Palace kind of like to set up in games in a general sense. So when we're looking at Crystal Palace 4-3-3, going to have the deeper player, obviously Richards being in that position, or might be a Hughes, you know, or even a Lerma. They kind of all, I feel like with Palace at times, they do kind of like to try and rotate in those kind of positions there. Now, obviously, Gay had to come off, and when Gay came off, that's when Adam Wharton obviously came on in the 28th minutes. So it's 62 minutes in that game. You can see 85% passing accuracy, 23 out of 27 passes, pretty decent. Did have an error that did lead to a goal, so definitely not what you want on your debut. 2 out of 2 tackles, 2 blocks, 2 interceptions, 6 defensive actions, 4 recoveries, dribble past 3 times in the game, won 5 duels, lost 4, 5 out of 9 ground duels, no aerial duels, and was fouled 3 times in the game. So again, kind of living up to the billing of this all action display, you know, someone who is enthusiastic, someone who is willing to put himself in and about different areas of the pitch and different kind of positions. And again, I refer back to the heat map here. You can see in the areas that he does like to occupy. Now, of course, if he's playing in a defensive midfield position mainly, you know, for Blackburn Rovers, is that going to be the position that, you know, that they play him in for Crystal Palace? I don't know. Again, is that an area that they feel or they felt that they needed to strengthen? I don't really know. I'm not going to lie and say that that was a specific area that they might have strengthened. I would have personally have said maybe even in the striker area, you know, to potentially get a better striker. But you're getting someone who is on the up and up. You know, back in September 2022, he actually made his he made the England under-19 squad. He's also played for the England under-20 squad as well. So again, you know, he is working his way through the England setup as well. And he is a name that quite a lot of other teams, top teams, were actually looking at. You know, I know that Tottenham are one of the teams who are looking at him, and quite a few others in and around England just had their eye out, you know, for someone like Adam. And I think with something like that and with someone like Adam, I just think it's just more about you've got the kind of, would we say, core abilities to be able to play in that central midfield position. You know, you do seem like someone who can play almost as a deep line playmaker if we need him to. I think I showed there, was it 2 goals, 3 assists, or the other way around, you know. So he is someone who can get you goals and assists if played in those right, you know, played in those right areas. I would say best attributes, probably ball carrying. His work rate is really, really good. Defensive aggression, his football IQ in terms of positional awareness and just defensive awareness, really and truly. I think those are 2 things that will stand him in good stead, especially moving up to the Premier League. But we know with the Premier League, it's a whole different kind of ball game. We can't sit here and pretend that Championship and Premier League are of the same level. Yes, there's going to be fundamentals and similarities between the two. Of course, there would be. But if we're just talking in a general sense, in terms of the quality that's going to be needed in order for him to be able to step up, that's where it's going to be key. But, you know, again, Crystal Palace, if that's the right club for him, you know, if that's the club that's going to, would we say, necessarily help him in his development in terms of getting him up to a level, up to par, to be able to play, you know, in the Premier League, and of course enhance his own abilities. He's only 19 years of age still, you know. I mean, he's turning 20 years of age actually tomorrow, to be fair. So, you know, he is getting on in that kind of sense, but he's still a baby when it comes to football. He's still a baby. You know, he hasn't had that many appearances. He's played 51 times for Blackburn Rovers, you know, so far. You know, that's his whole kind of career, so to speak. So if we're talking about a guy who's only played 51 times, yeah, it's not so much. But, you know, of course, he's getting there. He's totally getting there. So yeah, we'll just kind of have to wait and see when it does come to someone like Adam. Good at pressing the lines as well. Good with, you know, quick counter attacks. Can start attacks. Good at the build-up play. Defensively, as I mentioned before, defensive awareness, his positioning, I feel like it's pretty decent. I do feel that, though, he is someone, that box-to-box kind of description that they had for him, that's exactly what I feel he's going to want to prefer to do. Now, whether he's going to be able to get the kind of time or even be allowed to kind of do that at Crystal Palace, again, remains to be seen as to how they choose to use him in their midfield. But I can't see why he couldn't take a position of a Will Hughes, you know, someone of that kind of ilk, why he couldn't be the next one in. I think he's pretty decent on the ball as well. And again, he seems to be smart enough when he does get himself into those areas to score those goals that he has obviously scored this season. So yeah, with someone like Adam Wharton, I think it's going to be interesting to see exactly what he does, how he is, you know, how he kind of fits into the Crystal Palace team. But, you know, it's just really just a wait and see game. It really is just a wait and see game. And then, of course, we'll see how that kind of pans out for him. But guys, that is today's Scout Watch. Today, taking a look at Adam Wharton, the young Crystal Palace midfielder, signed this January. So still new. Obviously, of course, made his debut at the weekend and in that 4-1 defeat, which is obviously a little bit unkind, but it is what it is. We will move. Let me know in the comment section who is another player in case you guys have been looking. Of course, if you guys find me a player, I'll take a little look at him, take a deep dive, and, you know, we'll see what this player is all about. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Make sure you smash a like, make sure you share and subscribe to the channel. I'm G, and we are out.